How's it going, everybody? You've been caught listening. I'm Philip Diana here, as always, with my brother, Vincent Diana, and today we've got a guest. Yes, another guest. We have Brett Cox on today. Student at Edgewood College, runs cross country, happens to be an avid Padres fan, as are we. So he is going to be on today to give us some insight on the Padres offseason, some of these new coaching hires. We're going to go into some hot takes. So let's get right into it. First of all, Brett, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to be back. And little fun fact, the last time I was on this show happened to be the day Joe Musgrove threw the first Padres no-no.
And you happen to be donning a Joe Musgrove jersey for this one. So there it is. Only fitting. It's only fitting that we got to bring Brett back on today. Maybe this means that the lockout ends today. Who knows? I mean, that would be a kind of a prediction.
Something I saw is that they're going to have another meeting tomorrow. So who knows?
We'll see. I mean, the lockout has kind of just been Vince and I talked about this on our previous episode. It's kind of just been a butting of heads between the owners and the players union. It seems like, one side they're making good progress, but at least for a good portion of the offseason, they were kind of at a stalemate. Nobody really wanted to move or budge a little bit, but it sounds like recently they have made good progress, and that's a good news, especially for us as Padres fans, because we have a brand new coaching staff that we want to see manage a team, hopefully to a World Series. Brett, this offseason, of all the coaches hired, what was the biggest surprise? Which one stood out to you the most?
Well, I think the obvious one is we got Bob Melvin. No one expected that. It was rumored to be Ron Washington, Aaron Boone at sometimes, and then there was another coach. I forgot.
I think it was Schilt. Mike Schilt was the other one, right?
Yeah, I'll get to Mike Schilt in a second. But all of a sudden, Bob Melvin was interviewed and hired, and it was huge. He's the manager we need, because the past 2 years we've relied on Andy Green and Jace Tingler, two inexperienced managers. Andy Green was flat out atrocious. Jace Tingler looked like he had promise to begin with, but then his flaws got exposed in the second half, and ultimately he wasn't the manager for us. I did want him to stay as a coach because I think he had good values, but unfortunately the Twins offered him a better position than us, so we lost out on that. We have a new hitting coach and pitching coach. One's a San Diego County native, Ruben Naibla. The other one is a 27-year-old by the name of Michael Brodar, who was known in the Giants organization as an upcoming star in terms of coaching. So I can't wait to see them. We all know that the Giants last year were a huge surprise, and everyone they seemed to bring up was just crushing, it seemed. Ray Jr.
Definitely good pickups for the Padres right there. Brodar, Melvin, of course, Niebla. Vincent, what about you? What are your thoughts on those coaches? I mean, I know I was surprised, especially like Brett said with Bob Melvin, because I really didn't expect that. And the A's seemed like we're never going to let him go, but they somehow let him fall to us. I'm very excited to have him. I'm very excited to have Ruben Niebla. But what about you, Vincent? What are you thinking?
Well, Philip, one that stood out to me the most was the pitching coach, Ruben Niebla from the Indians. And I think that this is exactly what the Padres needed to kind of put their team together. It took a while. As we saw last year, Larry Rothschild wasn't really the best pitching coach for our pitching staff. Had a hard time putting it together. We saw Chris Paddock start to struggle ever since Darren Balsley left. So I think that time from when Darren Balsley left to now, when Ruben Niebla is hired, that in-between time was so much lost. That was so much lost time because of the struggles and the hardships that Padres pitchers face. But I think that Ruben Niebla, he stands out to me the most. This is what the Padres needed. That was the missing puzzle piece. And now I think that the Padres pitching will put it together, and this is going to be the World Series year.
Quick thing I want to ask both of you. Is this too far? Is this an overreaction, or is this like a justified reaction? Do the Padres now with the new pitching staff or the new staff, do they get 90 wins this year?
I think so.
Yeah, I agree. I think they get 90 wins.
Well, that's also probably what they're going to need to take down the Dodgers there in the West. The Dodgers, I'm sure it's going to probably be 90 to 95 wins in order to get the division from the Dodgers. So that's a good step forward for us, but there's still plenty to do. We have lots of transactions to make. Brett, you're a big Padres fan, and I've seen some of your, insight on the players we should sign. But who do you think the Padres need to go after? What should be the biggest priority for them once this lockout ends?
The biggest priority is to get another outfielder for us. We have no one in left field right now because I don't think we should re-sign Tommy Pham. He was not good with us.
I
I don't
agree.
think he liked it too much in San Diego either. So let him walk. We've been rumored to be after Nicholas Castellanos, Chris Bryant, Kyle Schwarber, and a Japanese star by the name of Seiya Suzuki. I honestly want us after Seiya Suzuki because I looked at a lot of his numbers in Japan. They're really, really good in Japan's level. Basically a super high AAA. It's not as good as MLB, I should say, but still it's pretty high. And if you put up numbers where you're well over 300 in terms of batting average, and you're in the 1,000 for OPS every year, I think you need to go after him. Plus, he's a good defender too.
Absolutely. Vincent, what about you? Are you on board with that, with the Padres going after an outfielder? Who would you like to see him sign?
Yeah, so like what Brett was saying at the outfield, I think the Padres need to attack the outfield, but in my opinion, I think what's more important than that is the relief pitchers. We have a great core of starters: Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove, and maybe even Dinelson Lamet if his Mike Clevenger too, Dinelson Lamet if the injury gets better. But I think what needs to improve and what the Padres need to go after right now is relief pitching, because you can't have all 5 of your starters go complete games every start. That's just not going to happen. We don't have we don't have 5 Jake Peavy's toeing the rubber every day. So,
we do, but it's a different day and age, I would say.
It's going to be hard, like it's impossible for every pitcher to go a complete game. You need relief pitchers. And last year, the relief pitching was terrible. That's what lost us the games. Emilio Pagan, Craig Stammen for a little bit. And then a closer too. I think the Padres need to get a closer. Mark Melancon just signed with the Diamondbacks, but even when Mark Melancon was here, he wasn't that power closer, that strong closer that we needed to actually win games. Like Mark Melancon's good, but he's not Aroldis Chapman. He's not Craig Kimbrell. He's not blowing guys away with a fastball. He's got a good curveball, but it's like we need that power closer, like maybe a Jordan Hicks or someone, like a fireballer that comes in there, throws 100, even 97, gets batters out. I think the Padres need to attack the relief pitching and, most importantly, the closing pitcher.
I personally actually think that I like what they've signed. I like the Robert Suarez. That's a big
that was good.
That's a big pickup for them. I like him in there. I think he's gonna have a really good year. Luis Garcia, same thing. Great additions to the bullpen, but again, like you said, Vincent, it really is up in the air. We kind of got to see what they're going to do with it, because we all thought when we got Emilio Pagan from the Rays, he was going to former closer with the Rays. We thought, oh, he's going to be that setup guy, maybe that closer, and that really didn't pan out. But maybe that was the pitching. I have a feeling that was the pitching coach, probably Rothschild, that kind of had an effect on him. So I'm interested to see how these new guys perform. I definitely agree with you, Brett, that we do need outfield. I'm not too sure if they're going to sign Castellanos, Schwarber, or Bryant, at least for now, because I don't know if it's in their budget. But Seiya Suzuki would be a great pickup.
Castellanos is too expensive.
Yeah, I think all of them will be.
Yeah.
Honestly, even like a guy like Chris Bryant too, it would be. He's expensive, but he would be a decent pickup because he could play multiple positions. Not that you would need him at third base, because we have a great third baseman, but Manny Machado, can't go wrong with him. But, if Machado needs a day off at third, there you go. Now you can slide Brian in there.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I think out of all those options, Kyle Schwarber is probably the cheapest option, because even Seiya Suzuki, we still have to bid to try and get him, or at least try to negotiate with him. So that will cost a little bit, but you never know what can happen in the free agency. Also, in terms of the bullpen, Luis Garcia and Robert Suarez, 2 good pickups. They're probably going to be 2 of our setup man. Drew Pomerantz, he's going to be a setup man if healthy, maybe even a closer. We'll see. But one closer option that I think would really work for us is actually Dinelson Lamet, because his arm isn't healthy enough to be a starter. And that's become painfully obvious. It's too fragile. If he can come out of the bullpen pumping his 98, 99, 100 with that nasty slider, there's your power closer, what you were talking about, Vincent.
Oh man, that would be a great option. I actually really like that. That's a good insight right there. I had thought of that a little bit, but realistically, I didn't know if it was going to happen. But I really would like to see Dinelson Lamet out of that bullpen as a closer, because that would be He does have decent stamina, so he could be that closer that could give you, especially when you're in the postseason, that 2 to 3 innings maybe that you need out of your guy, like we saw Aroldis Chapman do in 2016. That would be a great pickup for. I really like that. I'm interested to see how that is going to work, especially with the new pitching coach. Maybe turns Nelson Lamet around, gets him, gets that arm going. Oh man, that would be awesome. I would love to see that here in San Diego.
It's just health that matters. Like the only thing that mattered last year was health, and none of our starters at the end of the year were not healthy. Snell went down, Paddock went down, Darvish was battling through a hip injury. We dumpster dived for guys like Jake Arrieta and Vince Velasquez, and those guys sucked for us.
Yeah, they weren't good. They weren't in their prime when we had them. But that begs the question. We have some hot takes that we're going to do right now. One of them I'm going to do is with the new coaching staff. We have Berdar, our new hitting coach, who, as Brett mentioned, was that up-and-coming star for the Giants. We saw the success he had with the Giants this year. So between Vincent and Brett, who do you think has a better year offensively this year with the new hitting coach? Do you think Eric Hosmer or Will Myers?
I'm going to say Will Myers. I'm going to say Will Myers has the better offensive year. Eric Hosmer, when he came over, he was expected to be that guy that was going to kind of put us together. And even with previous hitting coaches, we saw he couldn't really get that done. Myers kind of goes through ups and downs. But I think if I were to bet money on this one, I would say Will Myers has a better shot at putting together a better offensive year than Eric Hosmer.
Oh, this is going to be tough because both those guys, for contracts they were given, have not lived up anywhere near that, except for 2020. Even then, that was 60 games, so I can't really count that. So it's really tough. I'm gonna go with Eric Hosmer on this one, actually, because in the second half of last season, he actually did bounce back a little bit. He had a horrendous first half, especially in June, where he was batting below the Mendoza line and had an OPS of like 600, something like that, maybe even lower. So hopefully that fixes. Berdar is huge on launch angle, which is becoming a huge part of baseball now. And Hosmer's one problem is the launch angle. So once he gets that done, he already hits the ball hard enough. He could be another 20 home run guy for us. Hopefully he can regain his form. And who knows? Maybe he'll actually carry the team like he was supposed to do when we signed him in 2018.
That would be cool to see that too, because if he can bounce back and Berdar can really get to him and help him with his hitting, he'll be that guy that we expected him to be. And therefore, there won't be a huge need to trade him. I know the call in San Diego right now is get rid of Eric Hosmer, which I understand when you're making that amount of money, but
I do too, yeah.
I don't think you get rid of him just yet. I think that give him a chance. Both of these guys, Will Myers and Eric Hosmer, I think they need to have a chance with this new group of coaches, because I think both of them are going to have bounce back years. In my opinion, I actually am going to agree with you, Brad. I think Eric Hosmer is going to have a better year than Will Myers. I still think they're both going to rebound, but I think Eric Hosmer will have that slightly better year. But Vincent, like as you said, Will Myers, that's also a guy who's going to be really good. We saw what he did for parts of 2020, where it seemed like he changed his stance. He definitely tapped into his power a little bit more. So maybe that Berdar can offer him some more insight, and he can go out there and put it to work, and we can go ahead and win 90 games this year like we want to and we've been needing to for so long. And,
that would be great. Mm-hmm.
And the other hot take I wanted to ask is, we have two guys kind of coming off of injury, two pitchers, Mike Clevenger to Nelson Lamet. Whatever role they're in, whether Lamet's a closer, whether he's a starter, we know Clevenger is probably going to be a starter, most likely. Who do you think has the better year?
I'm going to say Mike Clevenger, actually. I think we see he's constantly working out, trying to better himself, get back in shape on his Instagram page. So that's really exciting to see what he's been doing. Honestly, I think he's going to have a really successful bounce back year. Maybe not all-star or Cy Young caliber, because it is his second Tommy John. So we don't know how it'll necessarily form out, but I think it will be successful. And if Lamet is a starter, then yeah, it's Clevenger all the way. But if Lamet is moved to the bullpen, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be Dinelson Lamet.
How about you, Vincent? Who do you think has the better year between those two?
Between Clevenger and Lamet, I think I'm going to take Mike Clevenger. I think like what Brett said, Mike Clevenger, he's working on it. He's getting better. And, it's not like I'm saying Denelson Lamet's not, but Denelson Lamet's just like Clevenger had the surgery. He's coming off better. Denelson Lamet hasn't had the surgery yet. He's gonna run into some struggles here. Not because he can't do it, just because he has an arm injury. As a baseball player myself, I know that trying to deal with an arm injury and power through it's really hard to do. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Mike Clevenger. I think Clevenger's gonna have a better year just because he's healthy. He's ready to go, and he's shown that. So I'm going to go with Mike Clevenger on that one.
I agree with you, Vince. And I think I agree with both of you. I think Mike Clevenger is going to have the better year. I'm really excited to see him. The sunshine, obviously, he's got that iconic Wilson glove with the sunshine on it. Perfect for sunny San Diego. Hopefully he has a very sunny year this year and can light up that radar gun and help us achieve that 90-win season that we want and get us to the postseason, get us to the World Series. The last real hot take I want is it's mainly I guess it's not really a hot take, but more like a question between you guys. We saw before the lockout, the Padres went after the Marlins. We got Jorge Alfaro as another catcher. And that kind of begs the question. We now have basically 4 potential starting catchers right now on our 40-man roster. We have Jorge Alfaro, Luis Campusano, Victor Caratini, and Austin Nola. So what do you think the catching situation is this year? Considering, we have all these pitchers, we have the pitching coach. I think the one thing every pitcher wants is a stable catcher. So who do you think is our catcher, or what do you think the Padres are going to do at catcher this year?
Vincent, you can go first on this one.
Yeah, I think what the Padres are going to do, and personally, in my opinion, I think Victor Caratini is a better catcher than Austin Nola. So if I'm Bob Melvin and I'm the Padres, I'm going to say, put Victor Caratini behind the plate. Austin Nola is good, but he's not really too promising with the bat. Victor Caratini, it comes with both sides, I guess. I guess it's sort of a double-edged sword. Nola is a lot better than Caratini is at defense, but Caratini's better than Nola at offense. But I think with the Padres, offense counts this year. And I think this is going to be the most important year probably in their franchise. So I'm going to have to say, if you want to win, you need a bat and put in Victor Caratini.
So, wow. Okay. So for you, you're Victor Caratini, Vince. So over all those 3, your guy is Caratini. What about you, Brett? Who's your backstop for the Padres?
I kind of think the opposite. I think Austin Nola is actually the better hitter than Victor Caratini. And last year it kind of showed. Nola, the one problem is Nola was injured most of the season, so he didn't play as much as Caratini. And Caratini, he was basically catching almost every day at one point, and that took its toll on him in the second half because he regressed dramatically. But even then, that was the first time Caratini had ever played a full season, basically. He was always the backup catcher on the Cubs or the personal man for Yu Darvish. And that will probably continue this year. I just don't think he's meant for an everyday catcher. As for guys such as Jorge Alfaro and Austin Nola, they're kind of used to that. Except I'm not too keen on Jorge Alfaro. He's kind of like an Austin Hedges 2.0. He's great at defense. He's got a cannon of an arm, but the dude cannot hit too well. He has a lot of pop, but he has no discipline whatsoever. He has a very low on-base percentage, and he ranks up the top of the league in strikeouts. And for Luis Campusano, I think at one point we got to give him a shot. If not, use him as trade bait. I'm on the side of giving him a shot. The one problem I have with him is that last year he couldn't call the pitching staff. Like we saw with Blake Snell, he couldn't catch Blake Snell, and Snell struggled in the first half of the season. So I'm going to say Austin Nola as the starter.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Brett. I do think I like both catchers, but I do think Austin Nola is that guy. We saw what he could do in Seattle. We've seen what Caratini, what he did in Chicago when he was given the starting spot for a little bit as well. But I do think Austin Nola is a good catcher, and I do think that given a full year without injuries, he can be what we wanted him to be. So I do think Austin Nola will be that guy for us, but Caratini will be there as well. I agree with you that that Campusano will be trade bait. At first I thought maybe for Eric Hosmer, I thought they were going to probably try to attach him to Eric Hosmer to move him. But as we discussed earlier, I think if you're the Padres, it's probably wise to hold on to Eric Hosmer right now. I think you got to give him his chance. If obviously if he fails at that chance, then go for it, trade him, unload the contract, and attach Campusano to him. We still will have 3 catchers, so we won't be hurting too much, hopefully. That'll bring us to the conclusion of our show. Once again, this has been Caught Listening, and you have all been caught listening to Philip and Vincent Diana. And today you were caught listening to Brett Cox with all the good Padres insight we shared with you. Hopefully you guys liked the video, enjoy it. Be sure to check it out on YouTube. It will be posted there soon. Also, be sure to check us out on Instagram. Brett Cox is on Instagram. I am on Instagram. Vincent is on Instagram. We'll include those at the end of the video. But thank you again to everybody for listening. Thank you very much, Vincent. Thank you very much, Brett. We all really enjoy talking baseball, and I think it's always a good time when we can all get together and talk baseball. Until the next time, you've been caught listening, and we will see you.